for another lecture series on Introduction to Psychology. Today's topic will be guided by the following questions. Describe what is science and its essential elements. Describe psychology as a science. Describe a number of ethical guidelines that psychologists follow. And discuss why we need to learn about scientific method. Then discuss how the definition of psychology evolved. So for the first chapter, okay, so the majority of the significant social and technological advances in the last century may be directly traced to science. Example of which is Dr. Edward Jenner's groundbreaking work made it possible for millions of vaccinations to be given each year throughout the world, preserving the lives of individuals of all ages while halting the spread of numerous treatable diseases. And this technological and clinical development are all a direct result of research and expertise in science. So it is simple to become comfortable about scientific advancement in the modern world, yet there is no denying that science has made incredible discoveries and it's still making them. And these findings have fundamentally altered the way we live. So, what is science? So, great thinker attempts to understand the natural world through experimentation and observation. Science is specifically the use of methodological observation to knowledge acquisition, meaning they use systematic observation wherein they employ methodical examination of the natural world with the intention of better knowing it. Scientists can track, count, or otherwise arrange data about the natural world using observation because they give them the fundamental knowledge they need. Science is not a magical solution. It may not provide all the answers to our inquiries about human behavior. However, it seems to be the most effective approach we have for learning about the observable world. So there are these essential elements of science. First of which is that systematic observation is the core of science. So scientists conduct very systematic observation of the world. The phenomena we are observing is frequently measured. And in order to reduce the likelihood of memory biases influencing our conclusions, we document our observation. In order to see changes in phenomena and comprehend when they occur and do not occur, we are systematic in our attempt to observe under controlled conditions and in the way that we systematically change the condition under which we witness. Second is that observation leads to hypotheses we can test. Meaning, when we create hypotheses and theories, we formulate them in testable ways. Then, science is democratic. Nowadays, more and more people want to be able to develop their own viewpoints and engage in arguments. Scientists are skeptics who openly debate their beliefs and observations. And these arguments frequently come up as rival scientific conclusions, which are published under the theory that the best data will prevail in the debate. Then, science is cumulative. So, one of the most important aspects of scientific development is the ability to build on prior discoveries and advance knowledge. So, many people still have doubts about psychology's status as science today. This uncertainty is partially a result of the fact that many psychological processes like prejudice, intelligence, and depression don't seem to be readily observable. Many early psychologists choose to concentrate on behavior as their main research topic because thoughts and feelings are invincible. However, it is possible to quantify thoughts and feelings using behavioral matrix and rating scales. Modern psychology has improved in sophistication. Researchers now investigate human nature using better matrix, more complex study design, and better statistical analysis. And despite all of our scientific advancement, psychology is still a very new field of study. Though psychological research has legitimate boundaries, it is nonetheless a science. In terms of ethics, human research subjects are used in psychological research studies, and as a result, there is a compulsion to protect research volunteers from possible psychological harm. The Research Ethics Code is a set of rules that scientific psychologists adhere to. There are numerous ethical rules concerning how in psychological studies that subject should be treated with respect. And few of its highlight. Okay? So we are using informed consents, wherein most people should be aware of when people participate in research and are aware of the consequences for them of the study. And the decision to participate should then be left to them. Then we have confidentiality. Without the participants' permission, information that researchers gather about them should not be shared publicly. What about privacy? So, privacy, meaning without the subject's knowledge or permission, researchers shouldn't observe people in their homes or other private spaces like their bedrooms. Without the participants or his or her guardian's permission, researchers shouldn't ask others for private information. Benefits. Researchers should assess the potential hazard to the participants against the advantage of their planned research. An individual who engage in psychological studies should only be at risk if they truly comprehend the hazard involved and only if the reward are likely to outweigh the dangers. Then we have deceptions. In order to conceal the genuine purpose of their research, some scientists must lie to the participants. Usually, this is done to stop individuals from making unnatural behavioral changes. After the participants have finished the study, researchers must debrief them. Debriefing is a chance to inform people of the real type of investigation. So, why we want to learn about this scientific psychology? So, there are many reasons. Few of which is that we wanted to understand ourselves, we wanted to understand other peoples and groups, we wanted to be better able to influence others. Of course, we also wanted to learn how to better help others. We want to learn a skill that would lead to a profession, and we want to learn a skill that will help us evaluate research claims that we hear and read about. Okay, thus, one good reason to study psychology is that it can be rewarding in itself because this field can influence our life and provide fun, rewards, and understanding. So, the historical overview and how does the definition of psychology evolve. Okay, so the study of psychology did not start out as a science. Philosophical interest in the human mind and behavior dates back to ancient civilization of Egypt, Persia, Greece, China, and India. Before it became a science, it began as a subfield of philosophy and persisted for about 2000 years. It comes from ancient Greek word psyche. The word psychology originated from the Greek word psyche, which means soul, mind, spirit, and logos, meaning principles, knowledge, or study. And this is the reason why it is now being defined then as the study of the soul. And by the soul was meant the principle underlying all the phenomena of mental and spiritual life. So Greek philosophers served as a foundation for current theories about the mind and how it works. The ancient Greek physician Alcmaeon stated that mental life is a function of the brain in the 6th century BC, which was one of the early pillars in the creation of psychology as a discipline. And this concept offers a foundation for better understanding the human psyche even today. The other notable Greek philosophers are Hippocrates, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Hippocrates, known as the father of medicine, and he had examined mental processes such as reasoning, imagination, memory, and dreams. And in addition, the idea of Socrates were strengthened and carried on by his students Plato and Aristotle. However, they did not hold a strong belief in the soul, so they emphasized the capacity for reason in humans and referred to them as rational animals. Plato was more curious about how the mind influences how people behave, and he is credited for creating dualism in psychology. He saw the body and the mind as two separate and opposing principles, as well as material and spiritual substances. But he was unable to find satisfactory answer to his question. Aristotle, the student of Plato, reconciled psychological philosophy with natural research and restored its tight ties to biology and medicine, thus dismantling Plato's dualism. He advanced the notion that the soul and the living body are inseparable. He put out the hypothesis that the mind is the outcome of psychological processes and argued that it is important to comprehend psychological processes, including the function of the senses or the function of the sense organs that enable a person to experience his surroundings. And due to its scientific foundation, this assertion could be verified. And it is true that our conscious experiences and behaviors are controlled by the brain. Then came Rene Descartes, a French philosopher, who proposed the existence of soul as a distinct autonomous entity from the body. According to him, the body and the soul are independent of one another because the body functions like an automotive engine and can do its job without the guidance of the soul. Man has dual nature, he said, consisting of mental and physical nature, and this resolved the uncertainty that Plato had created. He claimed that the act of doubting provides evidence for the presence of the soul. When he said, cogito ergo sum, I am, therefore I think. In other words, I must have a soul in order to think, and as thinking is the soul's primary duty. Philosophical thought began to wane throughout time as the scientific worldview expanded along with the soul. The definition of psychology at the time was the study of the mind. Since the word mind was less enigmatic and ambiguous than soul, this definition was maintained for a while. Wilhelm Wundt, the father of psychology, who founded the first Institute of Psychology in Leipzig, Germany in 1879, establishing psychology as a scientific field. And the first psychologists in the field learned how to conduct experiments to examine the mind. And Wundt replaces the idea of the mind with consciousness and focuses his experiment as conscious experiences. And he began using introspection method. As more time passed, psychology embraced as a separate field gained momentum. Psychologists started tossing out various theories, based methodologies, and approaches in favor of trying to give the topic a solid scientific foundation. And these efforts resulted in the emergence of different schools of thoughts like structuralism, functionalism, behaviorism, Gestalt, psychoanalysis, and humanistic school. The formulation of this school has led to various approaches to understand behavior in their own ways. And today, psychology is being defined as the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. But what is behavior? So, behavior, as the Psychologist Dictionary states, is that it means the activity of an organism interacting with its environment. The term refers to all activities in general or to a given activity. Likewise, it is classified as conscious versus unconscious, meaning being conscious is being alert, deliberate, and sensitive. Contrarily, the term unconscious denotes acting without awareness. Then we have overt versus covert behavior. So, in contrast to covert behavior, which is unobservable, overt behavior refers to the activities or behavior that are plainly and clearly visible. We also have simple versus complex behavior. So a behavior is regarded as simple when it accomplishes one clear and fundamental aim, such as turning, approaching, and grasping an object. On the other hand, a behavior is regarded as complex when it accomplishes a goal that may be broken down into simpler aims. We also have rational versus irrational behavior. So rational thinking is based on logic and reason, whereas irrational thinking is based on neither. We also have voluntary versus involuntary, describing activity, movement, behavior, or other processes produced by choice or intention and under cortical control, and in contrast to involuntary or automatic movement that occurs without intention or volition. Okay, and these are the references that I use. So until next time, thank you for watching and see you on our next lecture. Do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe. Bye!